Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Marilyn. Um, how's everybody doing this morning? Do we have, yes, we're all there. Okay, great. Um, this is Welcome to My World, the Monday morning edition for the 23rd of November. And this is, of course, Thanksgiving week. So I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And the big thing we see this morning is clearly crude oil. My goodness, this moved, and uh, and its friend, the Canadian dollar, went right with it, uh, almost tick for tick. It's amazing how those two can trade together. So the overall view, it looks like the indices are all about the same. The Nasdaq has been a little stronger recently than the rest of them, at least for the last week. Normally, TF can lead that foursome, but this morning we'll see what happens because the DAX is hanging right around settlement right now. But anyway, this has been a huge move on crude oil this morning. I didn't have my charts up. I hope some of you people that are up really early and trading the London session. This started just about 6:45 or so, right down here at the one deviation mark, and you can see how rapidly this took a 1.5 deviation. Took it not much time at all, maybe half an hour for this to develop. But I wanted to point out a couple things. So number one, the reason for this, um, these Saudi boys they've kind of decided that they don't much like the price of oil, and they are the world's largest exporter. They have been holding their ground hard that they would not cut production. And this morning, they made a couple of announcements that indicate that they're changing their mind on that. Um, it's amazing what uh, will happen to you with a small country like that. That economy is now something like $35 billion deficit, which they've never seen a deficit in their lives. So they know they have to do something, and they're going to start cooperating, or at least they have sent the signal they may. If you do not have December 4th marked on your trading calendar, please do so if you're an oil trader, because that is the next OPEC official meeting in Vienna, and they will come to some conclusion about this, I think, at that meeting. So uh, this came out of some statements that they made publicly this morning, and the response was immediate. I think I've mentioned several times that you do need to pay attention to what's going on in international news if you're going to trade a commodity and a currency. That would go as well for the currencies. But this was a tremendously huge move. Also, when you look at this chart, and let's just say that you were fortunate enough to have your system up and running this morning, that when this turned around, anytime you have one of these E's that changes on you, this becomes an old E, and this came right up off this deviation through the off the magnet through this deviation. But notice where the E's hit on this. It took a breath right at the red ice line. took another E right at the green ice line. These are major streets, and they need to be considered major streets along with settlement and the big magnets and the deviation levels, because when the bus driver gets to a major street, they're going to slow down. And there's nothing wrong whatsoever with taking this from one to the next. You'd have a very profitable trade. But if you want to stay in this trend, and this is all the way back here, understand that if you feel more comfortable getting out at one of these major streets, when you get the next signal, look where the next signal was. It was to get right back in at the same the exact same price level. So you can use this if you prefer to trend trade, but this was a significant move. So how do you know? Went right up here to the one of these deviation levels. How do you know this is it? How do you know when this hits here? How do you know it's going to back off like this? Well, there's a couple things. Anytime you have a market that makes a 1.5 deviation move, for that thing to continue or for you to take a long trade off of this, you need a clear and present signal that that's going to happen. 1 deviation move, 70%, historically, 70% of the move will occur with a full deviation. So after that, your probabilities are going down. At 1.5 deviations, they drop again significantly. So that's how you would be very cautious right here. I mean, if you got to this, if you were in a trade and got to this deviation level, this is the 0.7. Thank you very much. Step off the bus and put your ticks in the tick bank. And we'll see if it's going to back down. But these are some nice trends in here. You got a little bit earlier signal off of your the sixth tick, but when it's moving this fast, that 6 tick, if you were watching that, it can really move just too fast to be usable. The other thing I wanted to let everybody know this morning, and that for those of you who have been trying to take some of the load, the data load, off of your NinjaTrader and have a secondary system, a secondary data feed, you can get a free data feed with thinkorswim. The downside to that has always been that they do not support the FDAX and some of these other things, but they just did an update. If you haven't looked at that, you might want to, or if you're considering finding a secondary data feed to build redundancy into your trading, that might be something to look at. Abdul, you're asking me about, can I spell thinkorswim? Just it's a, you can put in TOS. Okay, here, let me type it in the chat. It's think or swim, and you can Google that. It's a TD product, but you can you will get the platform either place. You have to have a funded live account to get the live data feed. So if you don't want to put cash in it, and if you have an IRA someplace or you have other accounts, call them up and talk to them about transferring and opening an account with them and transferring your other stuff in. They'll do it for you. You don't have to fool with it. But what I like about that is Daryl uses that also for a secondary redundant data feed. So if something happens to your NinjaTrader data feed, you've at least in an emergency got some other place you can look. but I use it to make little tiny charts. You can make a chart and detach it, and then resize it into a little tiny thing. But it does. The downside of trading with it is you do not want to do that for using the Apex system, because you only will get the data that they produce, and it is not tick by tick. You cannot use the Apex system unless you have tick by tick data feed. It's plain and simple. But for redundancy and for 30-minute charts, 30 minutes, it doesn't matter. 10-minute charts, that doesn't matter. So they are now, for those of you, there's a lot of people I think we have in Europe. I don't know if Fabian's on, but he's in France, I think. Um, we They have just now gone to supporting the FDAX, the FTSE, the CAC, the Euro, uh, lots of those. It's basically the European version of our indices, so they're great. Yes, you can have both connected at the same time. You just have to have your computer resources, um, but it does not pull as much from your computer as Ninja and this tick by tick data, which is truly what makes Apex stand out. It is so incredibly accurate. But for other, time frame charts, then it's a lot easier to use. I think if you fund it with straight up cash, it's $3,000 now, and they have a paper account, so you can, play if you want to. But trading futures on that platform, I will tell you, personally, I consider that a suicide mission. It was never built for that in the first place, and you will find that their margins are extreme, and their fills and slippage are a horror. So anyway, but I did want to make you aware of that, because I know that Ninja struggles with the kind of, when you have multiple charts up and you're trying to look at different things, and then it takes a long time to load. So that's about it for this morning. Wait and see. We just got the second Apex E on crude oil. So this is a change of trend officially. It's now below settlement with this, but pay attention to this kind of stuff. Crude oil, gold has taken, it has drifted down for the late night session. It came down. There's not a lot of news today, but there is. Now, you never know what, the Fed tentative announcement might be. So keep in mind that there may be something that comes across the news wires about that after a while. In view of that, I will wrap this up. This has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll come back about noon and we'll see where we've gone for the morning. Thanks.